Hey, everybody. I know you guys were probably expecting to hear and see Callie. I am not Callie. I'm Zach. I'm the producer of Tune In Dropped Out's podcasts. And I did a big oopsie this week on Yes We Cannabis. I forgot to record the stream for a few minutes, and I couldn't recover the video. So you basically missed all of her introduction to the show. It was really good, so sorry about that. It won't happen again. Enjoy Yes We Cannabis. This is a good episode. It was an honor to produce it, and I am so excited about this show. So thanks.
I'm happy to have you back with us now. And if you are interested in watching it, I do recommend going back and giving it a go. I try to make it as approachable as possible, and I do think it's really important to understand the endocannabinoid system and how cannabinoids and cannabis interact with it, especially to really get in and understand medical marijuana. I also do have an Instagram account. I got to plug that. It's at Yes We Cannabis Pod. I'm there, and I'm going to be posting some things. I'll probably be posting reels about all the different cannabinoids there. In case you want to go back and check it out, we'll probably be posting stuff about today and all that jazz. But, you know, we're figuring it out. Cool. So give me a follow if you'd like. Follow along to everything. It's exciting. We're doing it. All right. And if you did get the chance to listen to it, thank you so much. Getting the chance to put on this podcast and put it together has really been a joy for me, and I do hope you continue listening along as we keep trekking through the wild west of cannabis. Let's go. Wild west of weed. You know what I mean? Okay. So today we're going to be discussing terpenes, which are a deep dive on their own. So let's get boogieing, shall we? So terpenes, what the heck are they? Good question. So terpenes. Terpenes are naturally occurring chemical compounds found in plants and some animals. So they are responsible for the aroma, flavors, and sometimes even the colors associated with various types of vegetation. Terpenes can be found all over the natural world, but the most common plants that have high amounts of terpenes include conifers, which are going to be like the cone-bearing seed plants, like pine trees, ultimately. Think about that, you know. Eucalyptus, aromatic herbs and spices, citrus, and cannabis. So in nature, terpenes are what we might call a plant's natural protective layer. Many plants develop them to deter potential predators and to protect against harsh weather. And if you are familiar with herbalism in any way, they are the compound that's responsible for the therapeutic effect that plants can have and that they have been popular with having in the world of natural medicine. And actually, archaeological evidence does indicate that the use of medicinal plants dates back to the Paleolithic era, which is approximately 60,000 years ago, and written evidence of the herbal remedies dates back over 5,000 years to the Sumerians. I mean, they compiled a list of plants that they were using and all of their properties. It's pretty cool. It's pretty sick. And some of the herbs that you might come into contact regularly with these days, and with those properties are going to be chamomile, lavender, rosemary, thyme, sage, all those good, wonderful spices and aromatics you want to cook with. There we go. Sorry. I'm doing it. So those are the ones you might come into contact with, to name a few. Historically, and also to this day, medicinal terpenes are consumed primarily orally to give the most potent effect, but they are used heavily in aromatherapy, and they can be found abundantly in topicals, such as lotions, balms, and oils, the like, you know. There are, of course, many, many, many other plants and animals that naturally make terpenes, but we are going to focus on the most prominent of them, which is going to be cannabis, which, let's go. I'm sure that's not a surprise. So cannabis itself can contain up to 150 terpenes, and all of those different compounds work together to create specific medicinal effects. But before we dive into the specific effects and properties of specific terpenes, we need to chat about the natural history of cannabis. So for millennia, hemp, which is another name for cannabis, has been valued for its use of fiber for clothing and rope for food and medicine, and also for the psychoactive properties for religious and recreational use. When it comes to hemp versus cannabis, the major difference with hemp is it's going to be a mixture of male and female plants, and cannabis plants, and its flowers are going to produce less than 0.3% THC versus the female cannabis flower that we smoke and ingest for the high THC content, which, as we learned last time, is the cannabinoid that is responsible for the high psychoactive effects. So hemp is one of the earliest plants to be cultivated on record, And we know it began long before that, which is fucking sick. And archaeologically dates back to the Neolithic age in China, with hemp fiber imprints found on Yangshao culture pottery dating back to the 5th millennium BC. That's a fucking long time ago. Also, in fact, like in Hinduism, cannabis is believed to be consumed by Shiva, who is the supreme lord who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. So it's truly a plant that is woven into a lot of the histories of a lot of the cultures around the world. There's a lot more that I can go into in regards of the geopolitical and social history of the plant, but that is going to be a topic for another day because that is a topic and a half. It's pretty sick, honestly. It's a very interesting history, and I think it's an important history to talk about. So we'll get into it. But let's get back to the crux of this current episode. Terpenes. Let's frickin' go. So this episode is going to come to you in like 3 acts this evening. Consider that what we have gone through is the opening, like the overture, and now we are ready to dive first into the first act of the play head first. So places, please. Let's boogie. Cool. So in order to understand how all the genetic compounds within cannabis work together to create the effects of being high, like in every idea of the word, we have to discuss the different strains that this plant can produce. So at the foundation of all strains, there are 2 specific kinds of cannabis found in nature. There's cannabis sativa and cannabis indica. So if you are a friend of weed already, you are probably very familiar with both of these words. And for those who do not know them, there are going to be the 2 main categories that we can kind of put all different genetic strains of cannabis into. So they both originated in Eastern Asia, in the Afghanistan, like India, Pakistan, and Turkey regions, and they made their way across Asia pretty quickly. If you go to those regions now, you can still find like wild cannabis growing on the side of the road. It is indeed considered a weed in that many ways. Both cannabis sativa and indica are the same plant, but they do have a little few like genetic differences, and they're going to cause different effects ultimately when you smoke them or ingest them. So for the sake of ease, I'm going to start referring to these guys as sativa and indica. So when it comes to cannabis, we use the properties of each of these strains to figure out what kind of high we are looking for. So sativa strains are considered the more uplifting and wakey strains. They're really great if you want to dive into some creativity. They're also really great for those days when you know you have a huge list of chores you need to get done. I just recommend smoking a bowl of sativa, putting some good tunes on and getting to it. Chores are so much more fun when you're high because you can really get in like the crevices, get into like the little foundation of everything. It's great. They can be very energizing, sativa strains, and they often help elevate like energy levels and moods. They've been known to be helpful for people with depression, for headaches, nausea, and appetite loss. And sativas, those are like one of the main ones I like to really smoke when I'm feeling like I want to be creative because I do have depression, and it really helps just give me a boost. Sativas, though, they come with a little bit of a warning. If you are prone to anxiety or like high stress and you get too stuck in your head, sometimes these strains can cause anxiety and paranoia. So it's just always good to kind of check with yourself and be aware of your mood before you dive in because it's not fun to have a bad smoke and bad high. It will always end, so don't worry if you do, it always ends, but ideally we want it to be great. So indicas, on the other hand, are known as the couch lock strains. These highs are often more focused on the body, and they can definitely like leave you in a state of horizontal bliss. You are still going to experience that head high, but with an indica, you'll probably feel more glued to your seat than like flying super high in the sky. You know what I mean? Indicas are sought out after and for their intense relaxing effects. It may also, or it does like really help reduce nausea and pain, and it does increase appetite. A lot of cannabis does. Ayo, the munchies, am I right? Let's go. And because of indica's deep relaxation effects, it's typically consumed in the evening or like if you need help coming down after a really hard day of work where you're like really stressed. You can just curate the perfect smoke, one that's just full of like that nice sedation, quiets the mind, helps you kind of move into like the coming down of the day really well. Now, these days, it can be really hard to find pure sativa and pure indica strains. There have been generations after generations of crossbreeding and mutations, that naturally happen to seeds, and that just continues the cycle. And then hybrids are often the primary bud these days that you're going to see in store, mainly because of like all the different crossbreeding that has happened and for how long it's been around and been used. They can be like sativa indica crosses, sativa sativa, indica indica, hybrid hybrid, sativa hybrid, indica dominant hybrid, sativa, all that jazz. You can kind of do any combo. You'll probably see it. So nowadays, there are over 700 strains in the cannabis scene, like as far as the industry goes, and the genetics are truly just as varied, which is really cool. It almost feels like you can never have the same smoke twice, which is sick. One of the main things that many recreational cannabis users look for when they're choosing their strains is a really high THC percentage. And as a reminder, THC, the main cannabinoid found in cannabis, and it's responsible for the high feeling that we might associate with the plant. And that high THC, it's definitely going to add to the intensity of the high, but a huge component that is often overlooked are the terpenes that are in the strains that we're smoking. So every specific strain is going to have a mother plant where those genetics originated. And as you can imagine, considering humans are ever curious, we have found those avenues to like crossbreed different plants, create new hybrids, and it just contains multitudes. And every single one of them is going to contain a different cocktail of terpenes, if you might. So as we discussed before, terpenes are the compounds in herbal medicine that provide certain feelings like relaxation, sedation, pain relief, the like. So cannabis, like many other naturally medicinal plants, has the same kinds of therapeutic terpenes running through its genetic makeup, which is oftentimes the biggest contributing factor to the physical sensations we experience when we consume the plant. Okay, so now that we kind of have the beginning understanding around like what the different strains are like and which ones exist, let's kind of get into the terpenes that are going to go hand in hand with like all these different strains. And I know I mentioned that there are around 150 terpenes found in cannabis, which is like a fuck a ton, and they all serve their own purpose, but there are a handful that are found a little more abundantly than the rest in cannabis and in marijuana. So those are going to be the ones we're kind of going to cover today. And I know there are many more that we can touch upon, but we don't need to overwhelm the senses. So we're just going to start with these ones. Right now, I'm going to send it to a smoke sesh so we can have a little moment. Consider this intermission 1. So you can kind of take all that in, and we will be back. Thank you very much. I tip my hat to you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening / watching a Tuned In Dropped Out production. We hope you're enjoying it. I just wanted to pop in here real quick during the show to let you know that we have a robust live event schedule we're going to be sticking to, and we hope you guys will join us. We have a lot of shows coming up that we're going to try and stick to the schedule. I'm going to read it off to you now, and then we'll get you right back to your show. So, Tuesdays at 7:30, the show Yes We Cannabis, a journey into medical marijuana starring Callie. Great show, highly recommend. Wednesdays at 7:30, we'll be going live with the Outlaw Mud Show podcast, recapping AEW Dynamite, and then pay-per-views as they happen. Thursdays at 2 p.m., we have Tuned In Dropped Out live over on Mixcloud. Totally free to listen to, by the way. Another show I highly recommend. And Thursdays at 7, we have a show we haven't even announced at this point of the show yet, and I will let that happen when we get there. That being said, thank you so much. Enjoy the show. We love you.
All right. Welcome back. I hope you had a nice smoke sesh if you did. Life's great, right? Okay, so let's get into it. So we are going to talk about 12 terpenes that are found often across the board when it comes to different strains. We have limonene, myrcene, caryophyllene, pinene, linalool, terpenol, humulene, eucalyptol, peulagon, phytol, boronol, and sabanine. So these are going to be the ones that we're going to discuss tonight. Again, lots of big scientific words. I got you. We're going to take a little break like halfway through because I know it might be a lot. So don't worry. We're together. I'm here with you. And these will probably be on my Instagram too. So, you can always find them. And with each terpene that I'm going to cover, I'm going to talk about kind of like the smell and the flavors that they give off. I'm going to talk about the properties and where you can find them, what the effects are, like when you are experiencing them in your bloodstream, what conditions they might be good for, like what things you might, ailments you might have. And then I'm also going to cover a handful of strains where they are very prominent. And these strains are going to be very kind of like kind of like the OG, kind of where the industry started kind of strains. They're the ones that a lot of people will know, or they like kind of the root of a lot of new hybrid strains. And you can often find them in a lot of different strains. So if you are interested in like limonene, when I mention the strains, just maybe good to take note. I'm going to do it for every single one of them. So let's start with limonene. So limonene is going to have a very citrusy kind of smell. It can kind of smell like rosemary, a little juniper, and a little pepperminty. But this terpene is going to be found primarily in the citrus rinds, like of fruits, in certain plant species. It's that smell, it's that terpene when if you are like just peeled an orange and you sniff your hands, that like really uplifting feeling, that's what limonene is doing. It's very great it's antibacterial, it's antifungal, it's a great antidepressant, and a really wonderful anticarcinogen. Limonene is a really great terpene if you are somebody who might struggle with like mental health issues, maybe like depression or ADHD. It has been shown to help with that. It's really been shown to help with concentration as well. Some really prominent strains where you will find limonene will be in Lemon OG, which is a sativa, Banana OG, which is an indica hybrid, Berry White, a hybrid, Emerald Jack, a sativa, Cookies and Cream, hybrid, Black Cherry Soda, hybrid, Do-si-do, an indica hybrid, Purple Hindu Kush, an indica, White OG, an indica, and Wedding Cake, an indica hybrid. I really like limonene personally. It definitely helps me with my mood since I do have depression, and it can be hard to like give yourself a bump up someday. But that like really quick hit of dopamine straight to the face when that limonene hits in this little citrus vibe, it really does help. It does wonders. Also, just like peel an orange if you want a little hit of that too. It's great. Great. So we're going to move on to myrcene next. So myrcene is going to have a very clove forward flavor. It has a little bit of citrus in it, a little bit of mango, mint, and a little bit of hops on the back, which is pretty cool. So myrcene is a hydrocarbon and one of the key components of the hop aroma. And it's very abundant in perfumes as well. But if you think of like smelling an IPA, it's going to be very much like that same smell. You can sometimes get a strain that is more prominent in myrcene. When you smell it, you can legitimately like think you're smelling like a really strong IPA that's extra hoppy. So it's pretty fun. The effects of myrcene, it's really antimicrobial, it's antiseptic, it's a great pain reliever, antioxidant reliever. It's an anti-carcinogen, antidepressant, anti-inflammatory, a great muscle relaxer. This is going to be a useful terpene for like infections, heart conditions, depression, muscle and joint issues. And when it comes to like heart conditions, I know it can seem kind of like crazy, but it's just like the cardiovascular system in general, because we do have cannabinoid receptors on our heart and on our like lungs and all of our organs and stuff, which is, sick. Some prominent strains with myrcene are going to be Blue Dream, which is a sativa hybrid and one of my all-time favorites. Sky High's Blue Dream in particular here in Washington State. Chef's kiss. Every time it comes in the shop, I put it aside for myself. Okay, back to it. OG Kush, which is an indica hybrid. White Widow, which is a hybrid. Granddaddy Purple, which is an indica. Pineapple Express, which is a sativa hybrid. Northern Lights, an indica. Permanent Marker, an indica, one strain of the year a couple years ago, which is pretty sick. Mimosa, a sativa. Green Crack, sativa. Strawberry Cough, sativa. Super Silver Haze, which is a sativa. AK-47, a sativa hybrid. Skywalker OG, an indica hybrid. Blueberry, an indica. Grape Ape, indica. Papaya, indica. Maui Wowie, sativa. Amnesia Haze, a sativa. Tangy, a sativa, and Lamb's Breath or Lamb's Bread, a sativa, which is Bob Marley's strain. That's what he's known for. As you can or probably tell, myrcene is found in a lot of different kind of like prominent strains, and it is a very prominent terpene in cannabis. I really also like myrcene. There's probably a reason these two are at the top because I really do love them. And it is truly one of those, like if you are looking for a sativa, an indica, if you prefer indica over just sativa and whatnot, you will be able to find a strain that's going to have this in it, which is really wonderful. I do appreciate it when the terpenes work across the board. All right. Next we have caryophyllene. So caryophyllene is going to have like a really spicy, sweet, kind of like warming, clovey, peppery smell and like taste to it. It's found in abundance in like clove oil and a lot of topicals. It's really great anti-inflammatory, really great for like pain relief. And one of the conditions that it has been seen to show really great like effects to or on is a potassium channel dysfunctions, which are linked to a number of like neurological disorders, including episodic axia, epilepsy, neuromyotonia, Parkinson's disease, and congenital deafness. So there's a lot of incredible research that's being done right now in some studies. Cannabis has been known, especially CBD, to really help with Parkinson's disease and like help with calming down the shaking, and it can really give another like more quality of life to patients, which is really sick. Some prominent strains that you're going to find carafilene in: Runts, which is a hybrid; Gelato, which is a hybrid; Wedding Cake, hybrid; Gorilla Glue number 4 or GG4, Indica hybrid; Lemon Cherry Gelato hybrid. I love that strain. Gary Payton Sativa hybrid, also a great strain. Oreos Indica hybrid, Biscotti Indica hybrid, Girl Scout cookies Indica hybrid, Apple Fritter hybrid, Sherbet Indica hybrid, Cereal hybrid, RS11 hybrid, and Purple Punch, which is an Indica hybrid. So you're going to get a lot more like hybrids, a little more leaning to indicas when it comes to carafilene. But that makes sense because you're like really trying to calm your nervous system down usually if you're smoking an indica. And carafilene definitely helps with that. So next we have pinene. Pinene. I love pinene. A lot of people will be familiar with pinene because it is a smell like pine needles. It is also kind of like rosemary and dill aromas. It like kind of also like parsley, basil, and hops as well. It's going to be very aromatic, and the major pinene is going to be the major component of turpentine. And turpentine is the fluid that is obtained by the distillation of resin harvested from living trees, like mainly pine trees. So it's quite literally like the essence of a tree. So pinene, if you ever like go hiking and you go out to the woods and you find your favorite spot, you get out of the car and you take the biggest, deepest breath and you just like feel this rush of like, feels so great to be here energy. That is pinene, my dude. You're surrounded by it and it is legitimately so good for you. That's why they always say if you're having like a rough day, just go outside. And if you can go out like into the forest, into nature, into Mama Gaia, even better. So some effects, like the great things that this can help. It's really great for mental focus. It's like really great for like cough and mucus, clearing those things. It's a bronchial like balm basically. It's great for topicals, like antiseptic topicals, and conditions that can help. Asthma and ADHD, really great for those. I know it might sound shocking that thinking about smoking something is going to help with your bronchial system, but it does. Cannabis is not a carcinogen, so smoking it does not have like the same effects of tobacco at all. And I know that's kind of a misconception in a lot of worlds. So obviously you're still smoking, you're still like, there's still, oils and resin getting in your lungs and stuff and whatnot, but it can be moved along. But there are terpenes that are going to help with that. So if you have like extra difficulties with that kind of stuff, or you can also consume like edible ways or like topically or with tinctures, and it can be great too if you want to avoid smoking. Some prominent strains that are going to have pinene will be Blue Dream Sativa Hybrid, Dutch Treat, a Sativa Hybrid, Hazeberry, a Sativa, OG Kush, an Indica, Strawberry Cough, a Sativa Hybrid, great strain, Bubba Kush, an Indica, Chemdog 91, a Hybrid, and Island Sweet Skunk, a Sativa. I would love to name a strain someday. There are some crazy strains that come through. One of my favorites that comes through by Lifted is orangutan titties. And I'll tell you what, not only does the name like inspire me, Lifted concentrates are great already, but I know that it's probably going to be a really great smoke based on its like genetic makeup. Anyway, we'd love to do that someday. We'll see. I would have to breed one basically, which is who knows what my life may entail. Okay. Next we got linalool. I love linalool, I'll tell you that much. So it's going to have a really floral smell, like very lilac, citrus, candied spice like forward. It's very relaxing. It has a very like light, refreshing floral woody scent as well, with like a hint of that citrus back. It's often extracted from lavender, rose, basil, and neroli oil. And I would say like the thing that you can most equate it, like lavender is the first herb that comes to mind when I think of linalool. So if you think of like how calming lavender can be, like when you have like lavender soap or lavender lotion, just think about putting that like right into your system, right? We love it. It's a great like incredibly sedative, very relaxing, great for anxiety. It's very anti-anxiety. If you have insomnia, this can be a really wonderful terpene for you. Anxiety and stress, really great too, because it really helps calm your nervous system down. And it's not like the really intense shutdown. It's like an easy come down, which can be nice because sometimes intense shutdowns we don't necessarily need all the time. I mean, sometimes it's great, but some prominent strains that will have linalool. We have Do-si-do, which is an indica, Wedding Mints, which is an indica hybrid, Skittles, which is an indica, Scooby Snacks, which is an indica hybrid. Love Scooby Snacks, really great strain. Don't get to have it a lot. I need to find some. Runts, a hybrid, Lavender, an indica, Rainbow Belts, an indica, Granddaddy Purple, an indica, and Amnesia Haze, a sativa. Oh, we have a pausing. Yes, Zach. What is up? We're figuring it out. Hello.
I just wanted to chime in and say I like. There's a lot of strains in this category that I.
You like linalool?
I like a Skittles. We had a Runts moment where we didn't like smoke anything else but Runts.
Yeah, I do love Runts too. Runts is great. It's
continue.
true. No, I love it. There's a Sky High. I like Sky High. You might be catching on to that. Sky High does a really wonderful grape Runts. That's like a really just like solid in the middle hybrid, and I do recommend it if you like hybrids, if you like Runt strains. Super recommend that one. Awesome. Yeah, good strains in this one. All right. So now we have terpineol. Honestly, when it comes to a lot of like the names of like terpenes, cannabinoids, a lot of the scientific energy that we're getting into, it's still new. So we're also figuring out like, how do we say this word? Because a lot of people have a lot of different ideas. But anyway, terpineol. So this is going to have a very floral like flavor and scent to it. It's like, think lilac, citrus, some apple, oranges, lime. So you get a little bit of that brightness. It's really known for its pleasant scents that resemble lilac flowers. And it's commonly used in a lot of perfumes and cosmetics. So like when they want to put like something on that's going to make you feel very like alluring and restful and chill, like that's this guy, man. Let's go. It's a really sedative, great for that. It's really relaxing, and it's also a really great terpene if you have insomnia, anxiety, and stress, kind of like before. Some prominent strains with it are going to be Girl Scout cookies, an indica hybrid, White Widow, a hybrid, Blue Dream, there she is again, a sativa hybrid, Skywalker OG, indica hybrid, OG Kush, indica, Jack Herrera, sativa, great if you need to be creative, and Fire OG, an indica hybrid. Alrighty, so I know we have talked a lot. I've thrown a lot of strain names your way and talked a lot about these terpenes. So we're going to take a second intermission. Look at that. We knew that we'd need it. So I'm going to throw it to another smoke sesh, and I'll see you in a moment. Let's go. Hey y'all, Callie here. I just wanted to take a moment to come on and talk about a new podcast that we're going to have coming this week. We're just rolling them out. It's going to be called Unmasked, the Musing of Two Neurodivergent... What? Millennials. Can you tell we just hit a smoke sesh? Yes, the Musing of Two Neurodivergent Millennials. My bestie Alexis and I are just going to be chatting about the experiences that we have had being incredibly neurodivergent just in the world. And we're probably going to start from our experiences in the performance industry because we're both little child professionals. So if you have the chance, tune in this Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to try to go live then. Otherwise, listen to it afterwards. So thanks. Just join us. We'll have a good time. Also, just thanks for listening. Bye. Welcome back from that smoke sesh. Obviously, probably a fun one. Okay, let's get back into the last 6 of our terpene friends that we're going to talk about today. So our next buddy is going to be humulene. So this is going to have a very spicy and herbal kind of like smell and vibe and flavor to it. This is like a very... it's a characteristic, like one of the main ones in hops as well. So kind of like before, if you imagine that really like kind of, it's a little bitter, but it's really earthy kind of smell, you're going to definitely, that's humulene. It's popping out. It's found in cannabis, just like in hops, like for beer, a sage and ginseng. So it's like very earthy, very, very grounding in a way. Yeah. It has great anti-inflammatory properties. It can be an appetite suppressant, and it can also be a great pain reliever. Conditions we can have, like if you have a low appetite, it is not an appetite suppressant, it's an appetite enhancer. That's what I meant to say, because the conditions it can be good for are like anorexia, if you have low appetite, if you have anxiety, and if you have stress. So if you are somebody who may struggle eating on a regular basis, and if you have like deep neurodivergencies or like autoimmune things, it can be really hard to listen to your body cues and be like, oh, I'm hungry, and which is cannabis is great for that, because it's going to get you in your body, and if you are hungry, it's sure going to tell you that you're hungry. Sometimes it thinks you're too hungry, but what can I say? If you need a really great munchy snack, s'mores are just like, they're meant to be eaten high. Anyway, going back to it, some prominent strains where you're going to find humulene. We have Candyland, which is a sativa hybrid. Death Star, which is an indica. That's a heavy fucking indica. Girl Scout cookies, an indica hybrid. Royal cookies, an indica hybrid. Headband, a hybrid. Sherbet, an indica. White Widow, indica. No, sorry, White Widow hybrid. Whoa, I was in a different world. Let's go. And Super Sour Diesel, which is a sativa. Really great sativa. Cool. So next we have eucalyptol. You might be able to kind of guess what this might be found in. It's a very minty, very mentholy kind of forward vibe. And of course, it's found in eucalyptus, sage, and bay leaves, cardamom. And it's an ingredient in many brands of like mouthwash and cough suppressant. So if you are, when you open some of that Vicks Vapor Rub and you're getting slapped with that, it's eucalyptol, which is a terpene that's found in nature. It's so sick, dude. It's just like everything comes full circle. Let's go. This is a great anti-inflammatory. It's antifungal. It inhibits cancer cell growth too, that we're starting to see. There have been a lot of really great tests with some really promising results. And there are a lot of different terpenes, and that when you pair them with certain cannabinoids like CBG, CBN that we are seeing to inhibit cancer growth, when you pair them all together, it's just like a woohoo. That's a really nice balm for maybe a really painful scar. Some conditions, if you have like chronic pain, if you have mental health issues, like you're gonna have this is a really great terpene for you for sure. Some prominent strains that have it will be Dutch Treat, a sativa hybrid, Girl Scout Cookies hybrid, Super Silver Haze, a sativa, Bubba Kush, an indica, and Headband, a sativa hybrid. All right, so we have Pulagon. Let's do it. So this is going to be very like minty, a little rosemary, and has like a little bit like sweetness candy on the nose. It naturally occurs like in essential oils, like a lot of the essential oils that you find in plants, like including mint, pennyroyal. And there is a warning with this guy. If it's taken in like large quantities, it can damage the liver. So like it's kind of good to know, just in case like you really like this terpene. Don't go freaking crazy on it, because you don't want to hurt yourself too much. But it's found just enough in nature and around to like be perfect. So this is I don't even know how I'm gonna try to say that word. This is a wonderful inhibitor for certain like neural pathways. So it helps with your nervous system and like with muscle pain. So if you think about the fact that our nervous system, our cannabinoid system and nervous system, all of our bodies, like it's going along our entire body, and pain is very much it is like a mental thing that we are understanding. And if you have like chronic pain, this is really great for chronic pain, seizures, and it can also inhibit cancer growth. But when it comes to like seizures and chronic pain, when you can find a way to like inhibit those like neurotransmitters that are like freaking out, if you can like kind of calm them down and cut them off, like it can really help diminish a lot of the symptoms of those things. And there's just a lot of new studies happening, like I've said, like especially with seizures, like people with epilepsy. Cannabis is proving to be a really, really great tool to utilize, especially like there have been a lot of kids that have severe seizures and you're watching them it's changing their life, which is pretty cool. Some prominent strains that's going to have this. We have OG Kush, an indica, Pink Kush, an indica hybrid, Sprite, a sativa hybrid, Motor Breath, a hybrid, and Pina Colada, a sativa. All right, next we have phytol. So this is going to be a very floral terpene. You can find this in green tea, like aromatic teas. It's very grassy, very earthy and earthly. Let's go. It's naturally found in a lot of plants. It has a very grassy aroma, and because of it, it's actually a terpene that is meant to attract pollinators rather than like deter them. So it's great to think that's like terpenes are also out there trying to help other beings. We love it. It's really great for like, it has great anti-inflammatory properties. It's a great pain reliever. It's sedative, and it's also anticonvulsant, which we were talking about earlier with like helping with the neuron firings and all that, like epilepsy and such. It's great for chronic pain, seizures, inhibits cancer growth. Again, like I said, a lot of promising things happening. Some prominent strains with this will be Sour Diesel, which is a sativa, Cheese, which is an indica hybrid, OG Kush, indica, Strawberry Diesel, sativa, Banana Kush, an indica, and Jack Herrera, a sativa. Cool. So now the next two that we're going to chat about, so they're not found in like huge amounts in cannabis, but they're found in like a lot of different strains. So not a lot of like concentrated terpenes, but found in a lot of different places. So it's kind of like good to know what they're doing. So we have Borneol, and that's going to have a very mentholy, piney, like spicy sweet, like aroma and flavor. It naturally occurs in ginger, rosemary, camphor, and thyme, and also in cinnamon trees. It's lesser known in regards to like in the cannabis world, like that we talk about regularly, but it does have a lot of aromatic compounds, and it's very much like in the herbalism world as well. So I think it's important to talk about it. It's incredibly sedative and calming, and it's really great if you have like chronic fatigue, stress, and anxiety. It can just kind of bring your nervous system back and just calm you down a little bit, just to help you like reassess, which is what we need. Some prominent strains, we have Amnesia Haze, a sativa, Sour Diesel, a sativa, Golden Haze, a sativa, OG Kush, an indica, Girl Scout Cookies, an indica hybrid, and Afgoo, an indica, which is a very like classic old strain that you can think about when you're thinking about chilling. All right, and now we have Sabanine. So this is going to have a really like woodsy and spicy vibe. It's going to be peppery and clovey. You can find it in like oaks and spruce, juniper and black pepper, nutmeg, anything that's going to be kind of like spicy yet really grounding. It's a really great antioxidant. It's really good for your digestive system. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it's antimicrobial and antifungal. And like I kind of said, it's really good if you have like stomach issues. Like if you're a bad tummy girl like I am, which a lot of people that have nervous system dysregulation tend to have stomach issues because you're not getting some sort of signal from your body. And mental health issues usually are connected to the nervous system, and also like autoimmune disorders. We can get into that another time. Go listen to the new podcast that we're going to have. We're going to definitely be talking about that. It's great for, back to it. Terpenes. It's also great for pain management. So some of the prominent strains with this terpene will be Super Lemon Haze, a sativa, Orange Bud, a sativa hybrid, Northern Lights, an indica, Lemon Haze, a sativa, and Diesel, a sativa. All right. So those are kind of the terpenes I wanted to like just bring to the surface so we can kind of think about. I think I was kind of touching on it as we went through those terpenes, but there's something like in regards to the medicinal cannabis world where we have a little bit of a roadblock. So, mental health and medicinal cannabis, even though I can sit here and say that me as like a person who suffers from mental health illness and has like multiple neurodiversities and like neurospices in my brain, I know and I can experience the fact that cannabis is helping me in so many ways. But in the like medical world and the scientific world, there's still no like, they don't have the proper evidence yet to be able to say that it is. A lot of it is because it's all happening in the brain, and we are just really starting to understand our brain and how it functions. So I definitely think that if you are somebody that has mental health issues, understanding your terpenes and understanding like what kind of strains to smoke can be incredibly beneficial. And you know, everything, our nervous system is connected to everything, and our mental health is affecting our nervous system directly and putting us into fight or flight. And the endocannabinoid system is running tandem with the nervous system, kind of ready to just like help fight any of the little battles that are moving through your body. So I'm hoping a lot more research is done in a way where we can start talking much more like forward about it. Right now, like in Washington State, I do have my medical cannabis card. there's like a list of like conditions, like qualifying conditions to get it. Mental health is not a part of it. PTSD is, which is great, but like just any mental health issue like depression or ADHD. But for me, one of the side effects of my mental health issues, my neurodiversity, is like chronic pain. I have chronic foot and ankle pain and also knee pain on occasion. So intractable pain is something that like I can utilize to make sure that I can access my medicinal cannabis, like perks and all that jazz. So I'm hoping to see some improvement as we continue on this journey. I'm sure we will, especially as we learn more about our mental health and how our nervous system works with that. But I'm just going to kind of leave this here. This was a lot to say, and thank you for sticking with me. I hope you learned something, and maybe you were excited about something. I get excited about it, so that's kind of cool. We can share that. I'll see you next time. I'm pretty jazzed because I'm not sure if it'll be next episode or maybe the one after. We are going to have our first guest on the podcast. I'm not going to talk too much about it yet, but it's going to be, I think it'll be pretty cool. So anyway, I hope you all have a good night. Smoke one for me. It can be anything you like, preferably maybe it's the evening. Smoke some pineapple chunk. All right, have a good night.